Hey guys, this is justTRU podcast. This is Joshua.
And I'm Shamaya, the co-host, and welcome back. We are going to touch on a subject that I think is going to be very interesting, to say the least.
The last one was interesting.
I
I was passionate.
There's nothing wrong with passion.
Yeah, I was passionate. I'm here to represent for the men. I was very passionate.
I'm here to represent for the women.
Absolutely.
Men have passion.
Yeah.
Something wrong with that. But I think that men set the tone. So I just think that whatever tone you introduce is the tone that you will perpetuate.
Agreed. But I had to get passionate about the men.
Okay.
Because we are just underrepresented.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today we're going to discuss, are damaged women salvageable?
It's gonna be another great talk.
You think so?
I know so.
What is your stance on it? Let's see why it's going to be a great talk. Welcome to justTRU podcast.
The reality uncovered.
The reality uncovered.
Spoken by Joshua King Terry
and Shamaya English.
Through the process of her being damaged, you saying, is she able to date or should a man date?
Right. So like a man, people love to throw around this high value word, right? So let's just say a quality, because high value is debatable, right? Like quality is quality. Right. Can't debate quality. Right. So how about a quality man being open to dating a woman who has experienced life in a negative way? There's trauma there and she is quote unquote damaged.
Okay. Got it. So the short answer to me is no.
Let's talk about it.
Right. I personally wouldn't want to date a damaged woman. That doesn't mean we can't be friends. Friend zone. Not
a friend.
Yeah, that doesn't mean we can't be friends, right? But me dating a damaged woman does no good for me.
Let's talk about it. Why?
Right, because a relationship is about adding value.
Right.
Right. So I don't see the value that she would be able to add in the event that she's damaged. My belief is she would have to go get healed or go through her process first and then maybe circle back. But I won't be there. But she'll be ready for another guy. Right? Like that's my thought process on it, right? Because I'm an entrepreneur. My life is already very stressful. I'm in and out of the country for my child. I don't need to be dealing with a damaged woman. I have a lot going on. Legacy is the most important thing to me, my peace and my purpose. And her being damaged doesn't support me either because she needs the attention from me, right? Because it's either you're either adding value or you're taking value, right? So if you're not adding value by default, you're taking value. And because that person...
Why can't you be doing both simultaneously?
Because I don't think you can do both simultaneously.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Why don't you think you can do both?
Well, I think a relationship is 100-100, not 50-50.
Absolutely.
Right? So how can you give 100% of yourself to the relationship when you still carrying around trauma, whatever that trauma might be? You should focus on you and making sure you're in the best position mentally, physically, and spiritually and emotionally, and then essentially get into a relationship. And especially where I'm at in my life, I just think damage just doesn't work for me. You know what? That's interesting. You know how women have the standards? You got to be 6'7".
I feel like you made that standard.
No, I didn't. This is what people say online. 6 foot, 6 figures, 6-pack. For my standard, you can't be damaged. That's my standard, right? And that's something that I will not go against. And I've dated women that were damaged, and it all ended the same. More damage. A plane crash. It was a train wreck. It was a
crash train.
Yeah, it was the same. It was the same outcome. So I'm not interested in dating a woman that's damaged. I want a woman that's whole, healed, who has a great relationship with her father. And I'm not going to take her word for it. I need to meet your father, right, and work alongside your father to see what kind of man that he is, to see what kind of woman that he influenced they have raised. And she needs to have a personal relationship with God. if she don't have those things working for her, she's no good to me, because she will then hinder my legacy, and she will take away from my peace and distract me from my purpose. So therefore, she doesn't need to be in my vicinity or being intimate. And I don't mean sexually. I mean as far as communication, laughter, going out, right? Mm-hmm. The relationship, because you're damaged, it's going to be about you and how you feel and how damaged the last guy made you feel, or whatever damaged you, right? Not saying it was a guy, but just whatever situation damaged you. Mm-hmm. And we don't have room for my feelings and my emotions. And I'm going to have to please your emotions and uplift you when it's going to be times where I'm going to need uplifting. But it's going to be all about you because you're just too down.
So why does it have to be one or the other? Why and in her need to be poured into and her feelings, highlighted, does that mean that yours cannot in the sense or in the space where you needed it? Why does she have to not be able to do that because she needs it as well? Like, can not two people need the same thing and be able to give to each other?
Yes, depending on what part of the relationship that you started.
Okay.
Right. So my whole scenario is if I'm meeting a woman and she's damaged, mm-hmm. right? Not that we have built a relationship, a bond, and she became damaged, right? Maybe the death of her loved one, losing a job, even God forbid, but a passing of a child, mm-hmm. right? So because we have built relationships and we have overcame certain challenges, this is just another challenge to overcome. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it's my responsibility as a man to pour into her and to uplift her and to get her, and help her heal on the process.
Only if the damage was like recent, not if it was like, oh.
No, that if we already established a relationship, okay. Right, and you happen to get damaged in the process of a relationship, right? But now I can't meet a woman that's already damaged. I'm just not dealing with her. Another guy can. I have zero interest in dealing with that situation because that's just a ticking time bomb waiting to happen, in my personal opinion.
So, question. Okay, so we now know your personal preference,
right?
But just in the spectrum of her being salvageable, right?
Okay.
So maybe in the space you are in your life, it doesn't work for you,
right?
But that doesn't mean that she's not valuable. That just means she has some healing to do. So, question back to
friend zone.
Not you, Joshua. Mm-hmm. I'm asking about in general.
Okay.
If a woman who has had a traumatic past is salvageable in the sense of, is there enough potential there to do whatever needs to be done to help her become the woman she truly is? Because I believe that there are a lot of really good women who just need help. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be accountable for their actions or their own healing.
Okay.
But I think that a lot of them don't know how to heal.
Okay.
And they maybe don't have an example of what a healed woman looks like, right? Like maybe they're coming from a household where their mother didn't have a man in the household. They didn't have their father present. Right. Their mother's feeling things like, oh, men ain't nothing, ain't this and that. And it's like, okay, when you grow up, whether you're a girl or a young lady, and you're just hearing all these negative things about men, and you just don't know how to present as a woman, or you don't know how to get over the trauma that you've experienced, whether it be dating or, maybe you experienced the traumatic, like, domestic violence or sexual abuse.
Right.
Those are things that you're not responsible for, right? But you're still responsible for healing, but you don't know how to. Right. So now I'm responsible to heal something that I'm not responsible for, but don't know how to. And now I'm damaged for any quality man who could actually help me because he has tools to.
Right. I hear you. And I'm speaking in general at this, right? So I think if a man meets a woman that's damaged, mm-hmm. and he decides to date her through that process, I think that's a wonderful opportunity for them to grow and build a bond, for him to be a Captain Saver, right?
Why she gotta be that?
I didn't say I just said Captain Saver.
Saver what?
Woman,
But you said this, like you mentioned previously, like, right? Like, as a man, it's your responsibility to uplift and pour into women, right?
Right.
So for a woman who experienced her trauma before her interaction with you, who's there to help her?
So I agree.
Jesus Christ.
Facts. That's number one. Number two, it's not up to the man to forego his peace and his purpose to deal with a woman, right? And I think a lot of men have put themselves in position by dealing with somebody that's damaged, right?
Absolutely.
And vice versa, and women,
No, you're
right?
right.
So
You're
and
right.
women, right, and women. So let's be clear, where they forget about themselves,
Absolutely.
right? And I think, including me, right? As a man, you have a duty, you have a responsibility, and you have an obligation. And I think we confuse the three as men, right? Our duty should be to ourselves. So that should be personal. That should be personal hygiene. That should be being healthy, exercising, personal relationship with God, right? Your responsibility is what you choose to take on, such as a damaged woman, right? And your obligation is your child, right? You have no choice in the matter. You need to provide, prepare, and protect. Nobody cares what you think or how you feel, right? And I think as men, we confuse those three. So we meet a woman that's damaged, we feel obligated. And because I grew up with all women and all sisters in my household, right, I overcompensated in places where I should not have. And my mom and my sister put pressure on me, not blaming them.
Right.
They just didn't know, right? Because of the dynamic of our relationship, because my father abandoned his obligation. Right. So those pressures were put on me. So I felt obligated when they're not my obligation. The only obligation I have is my daughter, instead of seeing it as a responsibility, right? So to your point, I think that's why I think it's difficult for a man to take on a damaged woman, because he feels obligated to do all of these things. And then in return, I'm a giver and I give from the heart. But when you do expect things in return. What if I'm speaking in general, what if that man pours into that woman and that's not supposed to be his woman, right? But he thinks it's supposed to be his wife because he feels obligated. It's a false sense that he gave himself to be obligated to her. And he's like, in the back of his mind, I'm doing this because this is going to be my wife. And really, you were supposed to pour into her, but you were supposed to pour into her
for her husband, not for
exactly. And you're supposed to friend zone her, because I'm seriously, it protects. You're guarding your heart, right? You're guarding your heart. You can still help her out, but you can help her out at a distance, right? You don't have to let her so close to you, and that's not her fault. That's his fault. If that makes sense, right? Because and another point I want to make.
So why does her damage immediately negate her from the ability to help you?
Because she can't. Because women are all about how they feel. And if their feelings are not intact, then they're not properly able to perceive reality. Even when their feelings are intact, they still can't perceive reality that well. Let's just call it what it is, right? But when their feelings are intact, they can perceive it much better. But if she's damaged, her perception of reality is off, because how she feels internally is off. So, and she's going to project that onto, her significant other or the man in that space. And I don't believe she's doing it to be malicious. It's just a subconscious thing that's programmed in women. That's why I think, for me, I can't do a damaged woman, but maybe another man can. Like, then you become whole and healed. I poured into you. I forgot about myself. Then I'm not focusing on my purpose and my peace. Now I don't have the finances to support you because I poured so much into you. I forgot about me. And that's an issue.
But what if while you pour into her, she's pouring into you? Because you're just automatically equating her inability to pour into you. But I feel like there are damaged men of quality that pour into women. So why can there not be damaged women of quality that pour into men? Like, why can't it be the same? Because I do believe that women need certain things from men, and I do believe that men need certain things from women.
Right.
I believe a woman is a helpmate. So in her damage, when
you're whole and healed.
You can't help out as a damaged person?
No, you're not gonna be supportive, and you're not gonna be submissive and be a helpmate because you're not whole and healed. I think
healing is a journey. It's not linear. Like it's not always. Like you could go through something traumatic, right?
Yeah.
Do your take a couple years to heal. Yes. Get into a situation, and then a situation could trigger a part of you that you thought you were already healed, and that starts your healing process over. Right. And so maybe that damage was your responsibility, but now you met a person who essentially felt healed, and then now there's something that triggered her. And now it looks different. So I can agree with that. That is true, right? So to that point, what you're saying, then my perspective shifts a little bit. Okay. Because we all carry something, right? We're all human. We have different hardships, different experiences. Correct. Especially being Black. I think a lot of Black people go through a lot of trauma. Yes. Okay. Men and women, right? So, but you made a good point. You said 2 years I've been going through the healing and through the process. So which means you're ready to get out there and date or deal with somebody, right? But you have took the initial steps in order to start healing yourself. You have took on the obligation, your duty to yourself to do your part now to meet somebody. So say for instance, that same scenario. Now, if you're dating a man and he says this, I don't like the way you're acting because of X, Y, and Z. Because you start the healing process, you might give him a little lip, but maybe behind closed doors, you'll be like, you know what, he's right. But if a person hasn't started the healing process and you're just completely damaged, you will never receive it. And it becomes an argument. And, right? Like okay, so let me ask you this. So just to correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I hear you saying. If a person is damaged or has experienced some type of trauma and hasn't started healing at all, right? Like, because again, like we said, healing is a process. But like if they're still sitting in their damage and accepting it, and this is who I am as a person, when you could clearly do some work, that's what you're talking about is non-salvageable. But if a person is willing to do the work outside of you, they've put in some work, then they're not considered damaged anymore. They are like no, you're just aware of your damage, right? You're just conscious, right? But still not for you though, because they're already damaged, even though they start working and doing the healing. No, I'm not gonna say that. Okay, right? So let's talk about it, because that's what I mean. I'm not gonna say that. So let's use an analogy. Okay. There's a difference between like a car that's being damaged, right? Right. So like when they like total it out. Right. Exactly. Right. So you the adjuster make the assessment on is it totaled out? Can the engine be rebuilt? Right, or whatever the case is. Right. So you have to analyze it and you have to discern where that person is in their journey. Right. Are you willing to deal with this, or is that person totally damaged and and you need to move on? Right. I think a lot of people deal with people who are totally damaged, who haven't started the healing process, and that's where the friction and the problem is. Now you have your traumas. I'm still dealing with, my traumas of, trying to figure things out. It's just too much. Do you think men who are damaged are able to properly be emotionally in tune with you and meet your emotional needs? I'm not talking about finances, right? Because, that's right? I'm talking about helping you mentally, praying for you and so forth. Do you think that's possible? I think people who experience trauma just need like a certain level of attention and catering to. I do believe that. From a therapist. I don't know. I think that's just the type of person that I am. So I think that my perspective is definitely not going to be the majority's perspective. But me personally, I think that it's possible. Like it's possible to love somebody past their pain and to show them. I think creating a safe space and trust is a big part of that. I think a lot of people's trauma is foundation in a lack of trust and safety, right? Whatever took place, my trust was broken. I was not safe, right? Whatever the outcome was. So when people don't trust people, they get defensive, they get argumentative, they get combative, right? When they don't feel safe, they get defensive, they get argumentative, they get combative. So why is this person arguing with me? They don't trust me. They don't feel safe. So I feel like when you create a safe environment, a safe place for somebody, they're able to let down guards that maybe they had up. That creates that acrimonious energy that you feel like, I'm not dealing with that because you're damaging the work. Right. But I think that a lot of that comes from creating a safe space. And I don't disagree with the therapist, but I feel like you could talk to a therapist. I'm not saying no, but I think that having somebody in your intimate space and circle that you trust and you feel safe with will bring out a different version of you than maybe a therapist. So with that, loving somebody past their pain,
Is that not what's wrong with black women now? They love men so much, right? Like past generations or whatever, past their pain, where they felt like that man did not, that man left them high and dry, right? When that man got on their feet, they left them high and dry.
Right.
Am I not understanding that correctly?
Right.
Like that's a lot of black women's issue.
That's their story. Right.
Right. Does it not put you at a disadvantage?
I'll say this. This is definitely not going to be a popular opinion, but I feel like as a woman, that's your job. Like, I think that as a natural nurturer, creating a safe place and a place of trust and peace is your job. Now, what that looks like as far as the dynamic of the relationship with you and the individual is between you and that individual. But I don't necessarily look at it as a disadvantage because I serve my purpose. I know my purpose as a woman, and I'm not here to try to prove anything to anybody else, right? Like, that's why if I come in close proximity with a person and maybe I do identify like there's some healing that needs to be done, or like maybe there's some trauma there, right? This is not a place I was always at for sure, but now I can identify that in people, and I'm like, well, let's have a conversation. And that starts with not saying let's have a conversation. That starts with me walking in a safe space. That's walking in a place where you can trust me with just basic information and not feel like it's something that you can't, communicate to me.
I agree with a great deal of what you're saying, but you can still help somebody through their process and keep them at arm's length and not let somebody in your house. Right.
This is true.
Right? Because you let somebody in your house, they're damaged. They're gonna damage your shit in your house. Right? And I think we as African American people don't guard ourselves enough. I can deal with you and help you, but I don't have to let you in my personal space and let you disturb my peace.
More of a support than a help.
Right.
I can support you in your decisions, but helping you means I actively.
And I think we don't know how to do that because of our upbringing. Whether it be a father wasn't in the house, a mom wasn't in the house, so we overcompensate in areas, and it puts us at a disadvantage. And I think that is the fundamental problem where Black people are at as a whole, right? Because think about it. If my mom talked to my dad, she trusted him to some degree, right? And then we'll just say he wasn't shit. I don't know the story and I really don't care, right? But now she carries that with her, right? So she gets in another relationship with a man, and that relationship doesn't work because she's damaged, because she's holding the situation what happened to my dad, right? So she carries that damage with each man, and vice versa with men, right? So instead of saying, you know what, because I get it, women want to grow, cultivate, nurture. That's in you guys' nature for the most part, right? So, but you can still do that without opening up your legs. You can still do that without opening up your home, right? You can still do that without exposing your kids to potential danger, right? So that's my thoughts on it. I think Black people we don't know how to deal with people's at arm's length. That's my thoughts.
So back to the question that you asked about me thinking that, or whether damaged men are salvageable, right? I think that in the scenario where you mentioned, well, a man, I'll use Kanye for an example, right? Like how I said he was with the young lady he was with for a long time, and then when he got on, he left her for Amber and then Kim, whatever.
Okay.
You tracking again?
Yeah.
You don't look like you're tracking.
No, I'm tracking. No, I thought you was talking about. You're talking about his first girl, is that right?
Right, the Black one.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
Kim Kardashian is not Black.
Right, like I think that's definitely a reality that we face. But I feel like if a woman creates a safe space for a man, maybe he's gonna deal with her because she's the one he has access to for the time being. But once he gets to a certain space, you're probably not the woman that he would naturally pick, or because his status has changed. And so I think that has a lot to do with.
I'm understanding your point that you're trying to make, but to wherever Kanye, the one that he was dating, we don't know the dynamics of it, but I understand what you're saying, right? Like I get you are right, but I think it's going back to my point. So don't date a person that's damaged, because people change, right? Like, right? Like,
you know what? Something just when you just said that, you are so right, because think about this, like the people that I attract now in my healed space are completely different.
Right.
Like sometimes, even in a healing process, you may attract a healing person that's healing as well. But then when you surpass the healing that they're at, like you don't necessarily attract to them.
That's right.
Or like a damaged person. Or maybe like I kind of went through my healing, everything, it's still a journey, but like I kind of have come to terms with reality. I've accepted my accountability is there. And that person is still battling, like you're just not attracted to them anymore. Or maybe a person that you dated before you were healed, and then now they're just like, how did I ever date that person?
Right, because you're still learning and evolving, but you're definitely not learning and evolve. So the more you heal, the more you can evolve and learn at a faster rate.
Correct.
Right? Like that's why other races do better than us. I'm gonna just say this. Because they deal with less trauma than us. Because they deal with less trauma, they're able to take on information and data and be very neutral, very objective about it because it's not emotionally tied to anything, right? But when you deal with a Black person who's been traumatized, it goes back to, well, that made me feel like this or blah blah blah, and it has nothing to do with. That's not even a point, right? It's just information so you can filter through to be the best version of you. So I agree. And I think people should just do their own healing or start it on their own. And then when they get into a relationship, just let this person know and be open and transparent and say, this bothers me. And like you said, sometimes we don't know what's bothering us. But when you damage, you definitely don't know what's bothering you. You have zero idea. You just mad all the time. Like, right? Again, that goes back to Black women being so masculine, right? They're so damaged because the father was not there for whatever reason, right? Whether the mom weaponized the kid or he just was a horrible man or got on drugs or died, right? It's so much collective trauma in our community. So when you do date a good guy, you don't know he's a good guy, right? You don't know what a good guy is because you've never been exposed to one. Absolutely. And not only do you don't know what a good guy is, you don't even know how to treat him because you think you're supposed to treat him like
you treated.
Yeah, or like how your mom treated your dad, right? And it's just like, so now you're self-sabotaging yourself because you are carrying the trauma, because you are damaged, and you cannot make proper decisions to get the best results for your life and accept the best partner that God has for you. That's my thoughts.
Like no matter what place on the spectrum you are, healing, trauma, still sitting in the midst of it, still getting your ass beat. Just whatever spectrum you're in, that was just insightful. A gentleman wanted to make $20,000 in his retirement. He wants to retire in the next 20 years. And he was on track to make $3,000. I said, what are you doing right now to say you want to retire in 20 years and you want to make $20,000 a month and you're making $3,000 now? What is in your action plan right now to get you to the goal you say that you want?
So I want to make a really good point. But he saw you as an expert, right?
Yes.
He saw you.
He respected.
Yes, this is a problem. Women don't respect men. So if a man tries to help a woman, I think you're being, toxic masculinity?
Yeah.
That's these stupid terms, right? Like she spew things to him that turns him off about her.
Right.
When he's really trying to help. Because men are very direct. We respect how you feel, right? But we don't care about how you feel per se. Does this kind of make sense what I'm trying to say? So when you call me about something, I'm just very direct with you. Is that not true?
You are.
Right. But the answers are always right. And I'm not bragging on me. I just have experience and I'm a man and I want what's best for you. Right?
Yeah.
So, but my answers are very direct. Right? And they're very straight to the point.
They are.
Right. And I don't care if Shamaya is crying or not. Shamaya, I'm listening to you cry. I'm going to respect you crying, but we can't cry on the phone all day. I can't listen to it because I'm busy. Right? But call me back when you're not crying and I'll give you we can brainstorm something. Absolutely. Right? That's how it always happens.
Yeah, this is true.
Right. What I'm saying is you respect me.
I do.
Right? As a person of value and a person of influence.
Absolutely.
A lot of women, but you are healed. Or you are in the process of healing.
Absolutely.
Right? You're not where you used to be.
Absolutely not.
A lot of women have not started the journey on their own, self-reflected, and took accountability. Women hate accountability anyway. They always blame the man ain't shit, the man did this, blah, blah, blah. But you were with the man, right? So until women start to take accountability and respect the information and the wisdom and the intelligence that's being given, right? It's difficult. It ain't difficult. It's impossible to deal with them unless you are appeasing their emotional needs. Real men don't appease women's emotional needs when they're wrong, right? Or when that man has not wronged them, right? Like, why am I appeasing you? I'm busy doing other shit, like being productive, right? I can't be productive and appease you emotionally. Now you became my child, and there's no benefit. I can't even claim you on my taxes. Like you're too damaged for me to deal anything with you. Like that's the truth, right? Women don't respect men's opinion, and when they try to correct them anyway, you being overly aggressive, you're being masculine, you're speaking down on me. I don't work for you. Like, you understand what I'm saying with the neck movement and the hand movement and shit? Like, it's just like I'm trying to help you, right? I want you to be better, not for me, but just for you. I want you to win for you. That's how I am. Like when I give you advice, it don't benefit me. I just want Shemaya to win.
I think that comes from me seeing the value in you, because I think that a lot of women don't see the value in certain men, right?
But watch this. But if you didn't see the value in me because you were so damaged, I wouldn't even deal with you. I wouldn't even put myself in a space to try to help Shemaya because it will waste my time and run my blood pressure up. And I could be trading, investing in this company or buying this stock or whatever the case is. Now I'm emotionally fucked up. Now I can't even think. Right? Because I'm dealing with your emotions.
Right.
That's why men, in my personal opinion, shouldn't deal with damaged women, especially in close proximity. That's just me though.
Okay. What do you guys think? Do you think that men of a certain caliber or value or quality should date women who have extensive or a certain level of trauma and have not started down their healing process? Or singing the song, I am who I am, and it is what it is. Love me or leave me alone.
Leave.
Please comment below. Thank you guys for watching justTRU. Until next time.